Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on a new channel as well. If you have followed me over from the Swansea University Motorsport channel, welcome. Thank you for doing that. What this is it's just something I want to try. It's something I always wanted to give a go. And now that I'm getting involved with Double Dash Motorsport Media in commentary, I thought I'd give I need to get a bit more practice in. And I thought, as a way to do that, I'd make it into sort of a one-off video for sure. It could be, if this goes down well, it could end up being a series. But what I'm going to be doing basically is I'm going to be watching back some old and recent races and giving sort of my reaction to them and sort of talking you through what's going on at that particular moment. This is obviously intended for anyone who's interested in karting. It could also be for people who are sort of getting into it as well. So I'm hoping that through this I can show, I can prove that I'm a good commentator. I hope I can do that, and also hope that you can perhaps learn something from this as well, and if not, can be entertained at the same time. So with all that said, we're going to have a look at the race that I've decided to have a look at. It is very wet at Buckmore Park. This is actually the most recent karting I did in a Club 100 race. And just so you know, watching back home, I'm watching this on my big screen on YouTube, hence why I'm doing it like this. But we're just getting underway now for the 3 laps of practice, and let's just have a listen into what... It was so wet. This is honestly, and best of all, BBC weather, as you can see as I go down the inside of that man in the yellow helmet, whose name I don't know. BBC weather had said that it wasn't going to rain at all. It said it might get a bit cloudy, but nothing like this. And then, oh my god! And then the best thing about it was when I then looked on BBC as it was coming down like this, it said it was sunny. So BBC weather app, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I now use the Met Office, which is a lot more accurate. But yeah, so based on that, then I didn't have my wetsuit. I had my wet gloves. You can see the black gloves I got on. And this is where my new Adidas boots earned their keep. They did the best they could. But I think it was just at some point here I could just begin to feel water trickling into my socks and trickling into my boots. So yeah, that wasn't a lot of fun. But yeah, we're just on the 3 laps of practice right now. You can see I've already made a few moves. So for reference, I'm starting in 16th place out of 17, so I'm second from last. So I'm using these laps to work out like where my pace is. And if you're watching this sort of being braced for the BUKC, this is what will happen in the BUKC as well. You get 3 laps of practice, and the best thing I can advise in those 3 laps is just work your way around the track. Don't necessarily go too fast, but particularly in conditions like these, work out where the grip is. Like I am on that man in the sensationally coloured helmet. I've just gone steaming round the outside, and I'm already having a look at this guy in the white helmet, and he also had the sense to bring a wetsuit. He's run very wide there. Now the good thing about Buckmore Park is, particularly at that corner, you come out wide and then you can cut in, and that's where the grip is. And then the same thing happens at this corner. You go out very wide and then cut in. That's how you're able to get the best drive possible. This corner is normally flat in the dry, and you see that he's gone in a bit too hot. Yeah, bit wet. And I've just basically got killed. What's brilliant actually, I don't know if you noticed this, someone just tries to kill me going to the inside of that corner. Hang on, so here's a moment. You can see there, my car was just coming to a stop. And I thought this was because it was so wet, the battery was getting flooded. When I spoke to JV at the 24 Hours, bumped into him in the hotel's bar, he said that it would be to do with my the position of my hands, because I'm turning the wheel like that. I'm being so aggressive with how I turn the steering wheel. I'm turning the battery off, I'm turning the engine off. So that's something he said that in the future that's what I've got to adjust. You can just see here, you can just tell by how wet it is. Firstly, I don't know if you can hear the sound of the rain hitting the camera. And also, particularly when you go through the first corner and coming through there, you can quite clearly see the trees and sky reflected in the surface, and that's not meant to happen. That's not meant to happen. If it looks like a mirror, it's wet, basically. So yeah, we're on what I think is, we're on lap 2 or on lap 3 of the 3-lap practice. So you can see here this guy in the orange and black helmet is also got a bandit suit on. That, to be fair, he might have had his own suit with him and decided to go with the bandit suit to save himself. Well, that probably wouldn't have worked. But you can see here the different lines we're taking. He's going out wide looking for the grip out there. I'm coming wide into it and then flicking it in. So we can see here a little bit more of what we're doing. Now this is where I was gaining time on everyone, through this left-hander, which definitely has a name, but I can't remember what it is, and also through Cafe. The grip was on the outside. Now, when we go through again, as we just got to the finish line, that is the end of the 3 laps of practice. Wet, particularly in the wet, when you can see stuff that, if it looks drier or if it looks darker, generally speaking, that's where the grip is. And in particular, for those 2 corners, because particularly the first left-hander, because that's on a slope, the water will all be accumulating on the inside where the racing line is, and that's where it will be slippier. That's where you'll be able to, where you'll have less grip. So the grip was on the outside, and this is something I'd worked out almost immediately, because I am, like, honestly probably the best driver in the world. As we just get forward out. But yeah, I worked out, I reckon that's where the grip is, and I was stuck there basically for the entirety of this race, and as you will hopefully see, it worked. Now, I don't know if this is the race start. I don't think it is. It is, in fact. It's a very, very quick warm-up, and it was so quick, I hadn't even clocked that the lights had gone green. In fact, I'm actually talking to myself, like, geeing myself up, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do at the start. You can see how lethargic I am at the start. I'm pretty sure in a moment you're going to hear me say, hang on, are we racing? Yeah, you just heard it there. Because I just hadn't noticed at all. So now I'm like, okay, I've got to get racing. We immediately get into a Club 100 sandwich. As those 2 guys nearly killed me. So now I'm going to the far outside. I'm already last, but you just saw there a spinner in a yellow helmet. He's just gone off, and I've gained about, what looked to be about 4 positions. Make that about 4 or 5. As I just overtook that guy into the normally fast but now slow left-hander. So coming down the hill, coming into the corner where I keep turning the engine off. I don't know if I do it here. No, I keep the engine in at this point. Coming into the hairpin now, looking for the inside line. Now, traditionally you'd think there's not a lot of grip there, and then no, there isn't. But then this is where I was making up the time. You could just see there on the outside where the rear wheels are. There was a slightly darker patch of tarmac, and that was where the grip was. So I just made sure, as much as I could, I aimed for that. But it looks like we're going to get an overtake done on this guy in the white helmet. We're going for the inside. This is not where the grip is into this corner. But because I've taken it slow and made sure I've got a decent amount of turning in, I've got the move done. So now we're coming into hairpin 1. Now, oh, hang on, he's having a go at me. He's giving me a very, very unfriendly bump, nearly sort of forcing me off. But I've been able to, I've conquered him. So, oh, actually no, he had a look down the inside. That's another good thing. That's where you can tell sort of what kind of driver you're racing against. If in conditions like these, going into the second hairpin, they go down the inside of you, you know you've got them immediately. So again, stick to the outside for that bit. So now coming down into, again, what is normally a very fast section, now it's really no grip at all, and you've just got to pick your line as well as possible. You can see that guy on the outside, like this guy in later races, he absolutely stormed past me in the dry, but in the wet, I had him on a platter. Like you see, he tries to fight around the outside. I'm on the line I don't want to be, and you see how much I'm sliding across the track. So you see here now, taking the outside line, getting a little bit of wheel spin, but keeping it going. And now coming into the first hairpin, and this was absolutely epic. You can see me pouring. Actually, no, you maybe not quite see me pouring at the steering wheel, but basically brake late. Tip for Buckmore parking conditions like these. There was just a spinner there. Tip for Buckmore parking conditions like these. When you're coming into the first corner, where you get the red begins, that's where you want to brake. You might think that when you're there, you might think that's far too late. but I assure you it isn't, because I've done this is the second time in sort of a year that I've raced in conditions like these, and every time I've braked at that point, and that's where the grip has been, and I've been able to gain massively on people. You just saw, and you might have just heard there a little metallic clink. That was me turning the engine back on, because I've hit the switch. See there, going to the outside, and you visibly, hopefully, you should just be able to see how much I'm able to gain on these guys. Going to the outside, turning in, smooth exit. And you can see here, look how much I've gained on this guy, who is, I know for a fact this guy's a really good driver. He goes to the inside. What we're going to see now is me going to the outside. He's then on the inside. He's then going to swipe across me now, and there we go. I've got the inside, avoided contact quite spectacularly, might I say so. Down the inside, it's not where I want to be for that corner, but you can see here he's going to the outside, so at this point I think he's got me, but I then go to the very far outside of the second part of the second hairpin, get the grip, get the drive, and I've got the position. That's one of that. I don't tend to big myself up too much, but that was a fantastic little overtake there. Now we're coming up to, I'm pretty sure this is Clements, who I've raced against in the BUKC Inters. And I know that I should have the measure of him, but we've got to make sure we don't balls it up. But we're going for the inside into the hairpin, and it's as you will. Easy move done. Outside, cut in. Shouldn't have cut in that much, but the move is done. So I've made it up. At this point, I've started second from last. Was easily last as the race started, because I didn't even know the race had started. We're now probably, I'd say, I'm not entirely sure. I'll see if I can see a bit further up. Might be able to just see there. That's actually the guy. So the guy just coming out of hairpin 1 even, sorry, is the leader. So I'm actually now up into sort of 7th, I'd say. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, about 7th. So that's a guy from Liverpool. These two now going hammer and tongs. This is actually my favourite position to be in when karting in these conditions, but stuck behind two people having a fight. Because what I like to do, I just like to sit in behind, let them sort it out, and then I'll just sneak in out of nowhere and just hopefully take both of them. So it looks like we're about to take this bloke in the Liverpool, so actually we're not. So coming into the right hander, now he's going to go for an overtake on this guy in the blue and red helmet. They're now colliding. I'm now going to the extreme outside where the grip is. You can see there, like these two going hammer and tongs, sorry. Outside, cut in, and now I'm thinking, can I do to this guy what I did to the guy before? So I've gone to the outside, got the move done around the outside just across the line, and now go to the outside line, run a bit wide, probably a little bit too wide. Now this guy, Liverpool guy, he's done exactly what the guy previously did, but it's literally, it's almost a carbon copy of what I did in the previous overtake. So it's just simple move, using the lines to my advantage, and now we're up into P6, and you see that I'm still stuck behind this guy. Now, so the next guy on the road is this guy in the blue and red helmet. I'm just going to have a sip of tea, because there is a bit of a gap now too. So I've got to sit easy for the next lap or so as I hopefully gain onto this guy. I think it's roughly at this point that I've started to realise, hang on a sec, the guys up in front, I'm pretty sure they're the leaders. Because when we come, particularly at this track, when we come to the, let's just see, is that, did I get contact one? No, that's not for us, that's for 20. Particularly at Buckmore Park, particularly when you get to this section, you can see the entire track before you, and there is nobody like storming away. So I'm now coming to the realisation, like, hang on, these guys are the leaders. And that guy's just had a spin, and that's P5. So I've gone from 16th to 5th in not very long at all, probably like just over 5 minutes, but certainly less than 10 minutes. So now I'm thinking, well, hang on a sec, I'm climbing massively. These guys up front are fighting. If I can keep a decent pace, I'm going to be able to catch them, surely. And that is, in effect, what is about to happen. You might also notice a very pink helmet right up front. In fact, directly in front of me, that is Mr. Alistair Irvine of Warwick Motorsport fame. He makes some fantastic videos for the Warwick team. But why that's important is, at the last grads round at Rye, my mate Jasper, who I was only racing with, it was only me and my mate Jasper racing for our team this one. We're called just the Free Swans, actually, which is a little bit misleading because there's actually 4 of us, but we'll gloss over that. But at Rye House last time out, when it rained, Jasper was in the same race as Alistair Irvine. Jasper's not as good as Alistair Irvine, but in the wet, he was able to just. He was extending the lead on him. So I thought, hang on, I might just have a chance here. And you can see in the space of just one lap, I'm already pretty much coming up to the back of these guys. You can see there's a very bright green helmet up there as well. I know for fact that guy races for Warwick as well. So that's Alistair versus, I think it's Simpson is his name. You can just coming out of the hairpin is the leader. So the leader's got a bit of a gap. At this point I'm thinking, okay, I think that guy might be going on to win this, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. He's got a green flag. So obviously something's just happened behind us. What I love about Butmore Park now, they've reprofiled Cafe Curve. When I say Cafe Curve, I mean the exit of Cafe Curve. So that curve is now really smooth, and you can properly take it. We're coming up to our first back marker. Hopefully he's not going to get in my way too much. It's weird sometimes back markers in BUKC racing. Sometimes they know what they're doing and they let you through, and other times they sort of do that and just get in your way. I gave him the special signal that people just assume everybody else knows. Like, come on, let's work together. I only found out this year what that meant. I've been racing BUKC for 4 years now. I say now, but not racing anymore. That's sad. But yeah, so what's going on? Okay, so Alistair Irvine has just run a little bit wide, and now we're coming up into the hairpin. I'm pretty sure it's called Garda, but I'm not entirely sure. Now we're going to look at the line Alistair Irvine's taking. Now he's cutting in a lot more than I am. I'm going out and then cutting in. Really, from watching this back, what I think I should be doing is just sticking fully to the outside. I think I've got a contact warning there, yeah, number 13 contact warning. That will be for bumping the back mark. Because Alistair Irvine has run massively wide. Now am I going to have an opportunity down the inside into hairpin 1? No, because he actually got, whilst he ran massively wide, he has actually got very decent drive. So you see here what I was mentioning earlier about hairpin 1, where you can go to the outside and then cut in. That's the line. So we're cutting in again. And it's at this point that I'd like to say this race, I think, is the most hooked up I've ever been in terms of picking my line, getting the power down, and actually being fast. I ultimately went on to set the 3rd fastest lap time, which for me in any race, no matter what kind of quality no matter what kind of quality it is unheard of. Basically, every single time I was coming through any corner, I was taking the same line and being roughly the same pace. So it's the consistency that was just helping me massively in this race. And it's ultimately what's got me into an outside chance of actually winning this race. It was at this point I was like, I could possibly win this. You might just see there that the guy in the green helmet has now fallen behind the guy in the white helmet. It's Alistair Irvine going down the inside of Homer Simpson. It looks like he may very well have that move done. He's got to be careful on looking as he makes that overtake. That guy might try and have a look down the inside, but what Simpson has done there is tried too hard, and he's now fallen further behind Alistair, now into my clutches, my very, very damp clutches. See there, he's running to the outside of the fast right-hander that's actually slow. Now it's just a case of, because I think, in my mind at this point, I'm thinking this guy's meant to be quite good, I swear. I can't quite remember what kind of level he races at, but at this moment in time, I'm actually gaining on him. I'm thinking, I reckon I'm going to have him here. But it's just a case of these conditions, you can't force it. You absolutely cannot force. You can't force a move. You've got to wait for the perfect opportunity. Now that might be letting this guy make a mistake like he has, like in my mind, what he's done here. He's gone to the inside, and there we go. He's made his mistake. What he's done there is tried too hard. He's braked later than he should have done, and he's just slid off the track. And he's now lost P4, and has given me P5. He's lost P4 and given me P4, and now he's down in 5th. I'm obviously wary because, so again, in my mind at this moment, I thought Simpson was quite a good driver. So I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, right, gotta be wary of him trying to come back at me. But what I'm also aware of is that White Helmet and Alistair Irvine are fighting quite hard. What if they collide? That'll give, and like they take each other out of the race, that'll give me P2. And you'll notice as well, the leader has not gotten away from us. He's actually now being caught, we're now actually catching up to the back of him. So I'm thinking, if these two collide, they're fighting really hard. If they collide, I'm in with a chance of winning this race. And that's what, in conditions like these, throughout all the many years I've been racing at Buckmore Park and in BUKC, in conditions like these, I just say, let everybody else sort themselves out in front and make sure you're there to pick up the pieces. Because that is the thing about wet weather driving. It is not how fast you are, it's how consistent you are and how error-free you are. And that's what I pride myself on. I make very few mistakes. And if you speak to anyone from the Swansea team, they would, generally speaking, agree. What they'll tell you is that I'm not, certainly by no means the fastest driver, and also I don't improve much. Once I reach a certain level, I'm very happy to stay there, which is sort of a bit worrying in my general life, but there we go. But yeah, what a lot of people would say about me, if they describe me as a driver, they would use the word consistent and doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And I don't. I can't quite see at the moment because there is so much rain on this camera, but I'm pretty sure the lead of this race has now changed. In fact, yeah, you can see the white guy in the white helmet has now overtaken the man who was leading this race, and that's actually Alistair Irvine swooping around the outside of the man. I think he's in an orange bell helmet, and what we saw there was, again, a little bit like what happened to Simpson in the green helmet. He tried too hard into hairpin 1, and as a result ran wide, and is now in P3. In the space of only a couple of corners, he's gone from 1st to 3rd. And now I'm thinking, I reckon I'm going to have this guy. So another very important thing in karting, and particularly in these conditions, is psychology. Now I'm going to reference a race back in February. This happened in June. So this race happened about 6 weeks ago. But back in February, I raced in the Inters, BUKC Inters for one of the Swansea teams. My mate Jeremy Todd, he stayed on from the mains as well. He's also at Swansea. He stayed on as well. Although, hang on, we are getting very close to the guy in the orange helmet. But I've run just a little bit too wide, and I'm very cautious of not putting too much power on, because that would send the kart round. So I'll ease it off and stick behind, thinking, right, I'm going to have another opportunity, and hopefully those two up front can come back into my clutches. Although I am still aware those two are I don't know about the guy on the white helmet, but I know Alistair Irvine, he's a very good driver, and it would be very difficult for me to be able to get certainly on even terms. It would be difficult for me to overtake them. I have to rely on them making mistakes. But again, they're both obviously very good drivers, and I don't think they wouldn't have made too many mistakes. But anyway, coming back to what I was saying earlier about psychology, when I was racing in the Inters, that one Inters race at Buckmore with Jeremy, what happened was that Jeremy Todd, he got one of the best starts I've ever seen, went from 16th to 3rd by the first hairpin. But then just as the race went on, it's one of the best races I've ever done. I'll probably actually, if this video goes down well, I will probably do a video on it. But at one point then, it got to him being in 3rd and me being directly behind him in 4th. We'll come back to that in a second. But here we are coming into the first hairpin. It looks like yes, there we go. Man in orange helmet has, again, outdone himself, tried too hard. He's tried to brake a little bit too hard, maybe flick it in a bit too sharply. And what's happened is, instead of gaining time on these two who are fighting, he's lost out and he's lost P3. So now I am in to the podium positions. I started second from last in a field that my experience in the grads has been, I did a race at Lyd last year and Rye House earlier this year, and both times I felt really out of my depth, and everyone was faster than me, basically, and I would never have thought that I'd be in this position now. I know that I'm good in the wet at Buckmore. It's the track I've been coming to since I was 15. I'm now 23, so that's what, it's like 8 years. I know I'm good around here in the wet, but I didn't think I'd be this good, if I can be so bold as to say that, because I'm having an absolutely brilliant race, quite possibly my best race ever. But again, okay, so coming back to psychology, when I was racing Jeremy Todd in the Inters, when I got behind him, having gone from 16th to 3rd in 2 corners, eventually I caught up to the back of him, because I know that around here I'm a good sort of 0.3 to half a second faster. When I got up to the back of him, what he did was he looked round. He looked back like that. And immediately I knew I had him. Because he was so focused on defending from me that he was bound to make a mistake. And that is ultimately what happened. I know that I just said I might do this type of video for that race. But, so I've just spoiled it effectively. But, yeah. So again, when that happens in psychology, bloody hell, we're already coming on to the final lap. That's actually gone by a lot quicker than what I was expecting. So it looks like the opportunity to win this race has gone. But as you notice, it's just starting to get a little bit lighter. So the rain has stopped and the sun is beginning to come out. You can just see it there. So fortunately, I had this is how unprepared I was for all the wet. I had my dark visor on and I didn't have my clear visor, so I could barely see I could barely see where I was going anyway. If I'd just had the clear visor on, it would have been better. But at that moment there, with the sun coming through and shining on the mirror that was the little straight leading up to hairpin 2, I wouldn't have seen a thing. I'd have been blinded. I'd now be talking to you wearing sunglasses and not being able to comment on what's actually happening. But we're coming to the end of this race now, and it's been an absolutely fantastic race for myself. I've just picked my way through the field, 16th to 3rd, didn't get overtaken at any point, and that's me across the line. I do get excited when I've had a good race. And Alistair Irvine, he's just had a little spin there, just beyond the lap, just beyond the finishing line. Sorry. And it's brilliant. I love to see that. He's probably trying just put a bit of zest on it. And I thought, you know what, that's sort of quite fun. I'm going to do exactly the same thing there. Bit of fun. Happy days. Great race. Really great race. Probably, honestly, one of my best ever, I would say. I know the grid's not really big. I'll just give a thumbs up there. Simon Pugh, who is the dad of one of the Swansea drivers, he was there today. He came along as well, and he's just giving me a big thumbs up there, and I gave him a thumbs up as well. But yeah, so that was me reacting to one of my best races ever. That might actually be the title of this video. You can just see these three here having a little chat, and actually me and him are going to have a little chat right now. Or are we? No, we're not. Look, I mean, just look at how wet I am. This, like, honestly, when I watch these races back, am I going to have a chat with Alistair? No, I'm not. I've been given a thumbs up and then followed quickly by the cold shoulder. But honestly, these moments right here are my favourite. Whenever I watch these videos back, it's sort of these memories, like the little bits afterwards. I don't like turning my camera off directly after the race ends, because you miss out on some little bits. Like, so here comes Jasper. I'm going to have a chat with him now. I'm just going to leave the audio in here.
Have you been able to drive? I think it's going to stop, like, if you look over there. Well, I'm glad I didn't wear my dry gloves. It's just like, I've got spare socks. I don't. No, do I. 11th, aren't you? Okay. What, the right hander? I go out wide and cut in. And then, yeah, and then I stick to the right, to the next bit. Yeah, no one else is doing that. I was. I felt like this. You can see the colour looks a bit clear. So and then like, I don't think it matters if you cut in or stay out. But up here, I was the only one doing it. I was definitely going on people right around the outside. Right around the outside. Turn one, cut out wide and stay wide. Don't go too wide. Don't go on tape. But yeah, if some people, those two moves that were amazing, people went inside, I went outside, I let them slide in front of me, and then I went down the inside and into the hairpin one. Hairpins wide, and then just control your throttle, basically. And after that, if I
This has gone on longer than I remember, not gonna lie. Yeah, so me and Jasper had a little bet going on as to who would set a fast lap time. Basically, whoever lost had to call the other one the better driver and a genius vis-a-vis Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just going over to some of my mates here. This is Adrian Porter. As I just wipe my glove on him, on his really shiny red suit and his nice shiny white gloves. But yeah, that was, again, that was one of my best races ever. And I just turned the camera off there. So that was it. That was, in my mind, that was fantastic. And I'm really happy with the outcome. And I really hope if you have watched this, I know this has gone on for quite a while, but at the end of the day, it's karting. And karting goes on for a while. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far in, thank you. And if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you did like this, and if I see that people are liking this, if I see people are sort of wanting more, then I will do more happily. Obviously, this is the first time I've done it. Bear with me. If I might, it's probably going to be too long. But then, if you know me from BUKC, you'll know that is my motto. And yeah, that's it for now. And again, if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And the final thing for me to say now will be ta-ta and farewell.